everyone! So I noticed a lot of people are already getting really excited about the Spring Advantage 2018 program and the application process, so I thought it'd be a really cool opportunity to share some of my personal wisdom from my own experience with the Disney College Program application. So my fall 2017 application was actually the very first time that I applied to the Disney College Program, and I really think that these 5 kind of lesser known tips about the application process really helped me get a leg up on the competition and helped me get accepted for my very first go at it. And I highly encourage you to watch all the other vlogs that are on YouTube to help give you a more comprehensive look at the application process. So these 5 unusual tips I really didn't see on the Facebook pages at all during my application process, and I really think it did help me get a leg up because I actually thought they were kind of dumb at first. And my dad kept pushing them on me, saying, this is what I saw when I did hiring in my company and it would really help you out. But me being stubborn old me, I was like, no dad, that's not gonna work. No one's saying that on the Facebook pages. Like, why should I listen to you? And boy, was I wrong, because those things I think really helped me get accepted. So thanks, Dad. The pizza is here. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause filming because the pizza's here and it has cheesy crust, so I mean, I'm gonna go for like 10 minutes. I'll be right back.
Tell everybody I'm on my way.
Okay friends, I am back. The cheesy crust pizza was super duper yummy, super cheesy and awesome. Now my tummy is full and I am ready to get down to business to defeat the Huns. JK, to tell you how to get accepted to the Disney College Program. So I'm gonna start out with the initial application. I actually have 2 tips for it. The first one being use action verbs when describing your positions. This tip pretty much follows the principle of it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. I'm not saying to lie on the application, but definitely don't sell yourself short. Okay, since I can't really come up on the fly of examples for servers and hostesses and other odd jobs and things like that, I'm just gonna read off what I had on my application to kind of help illustrate what I mean by using action verbs and using strong language, because I know there's a big rumor going around that even though yes, Disney does read everyone's application and they do go through it, they might have a little bit of help with a computer program to help pick out specific, I guess, buzzwords to help pull your application among the rest, because I mean, you've probably seen the vlogs, there's tens of thousands of people applying every single semester, and that's crazy, and you probably shouldn't expect a team in Disney to look over all these applications, because I'm pretty sure those poor people would go crazy, even if they stayed up all night with coffee and cool Disney music and things like that. Like, that is a huge job. So they probably do get a little bit of assistance from programs that do pick out from buzzwords and things like that to help, I guess, thin out the first wave or first batch of people. One of the biggest and most influential jobs I had during college was when I worked for a large hotel chain as a banquet server. And while it can be pretty generic saying, you know, I brought food to tables, I helped with events. Yes, that's great, and it's awesome, and I had a lot of great experience from that, but I needed to illustrate in my application that I became a stronger person because of that. Not saying I just got the job done. I needed to show that I had some personal growth from this and I learned something from this, because that's what, even not in Disney, but what regular employers look for. They look for people who are not trying to just get the job done, but who are trying to constantly better themselves from whatever they do, even if they're doing some tiny little job like washing dishes, because you can literally turn anything into valuable experience. It's just how you look at it, and even on a resume, it's kind of how you word it. And this is what my dad helped me to write down and edit through. And thank you again, Dad, for editing the crap out of my resume. Banquet server. Demonstrate a strong guest-first service mindset in the front and back of the house. Exceed BEO requirements to ensure maximum guest satisfaction and happiness throughout the event. Exercise strong communication skills and teamwork between the front and back of the house. Work independently in a fast-paced environment while maintaining overall vision of the event. So as you saw, I turned what can possibly sound like a very generic, boring, kind of non-helpful job, even though it was helpful for me, into something that sounds fantastic, where I learned leadership skills, I learned communication skills, I learned how to work under pressure, and that's what Disney is looking for, because you will be under pressure with a lot of these guests, because if someone's really hot or really cold, depending on the season, they're gonna be a little bit grumpy, and you have to be able to work under that. And I know that it's a lot of extra work to change your application around and change your resume around to have action verbs or to have stronger words in there, but I really do think it gave me an edge, because when I applied on the very first day when there was a huge throng of people applying, a lot of people hitting submission right off the bat. It was horrible, it was heartbreaking, and I was very, very, very nervous. But when I went home on my lunch break from school and I applied, I went straight to in progress. I didn't go to submission. I will turn off my phone. So I didn't go to submission and then to in progress. I went straight to in progress, and then I got my WBI email later that afternoon, and then I took the WBI later that evening. Number 2, I really do recommend that you fill out your application before apps drop. I know at least during my application experience, you could go in before apps dropped and fill out your work experience, your internship experience, and other things like that to help, I guess, speed up the process. So besides this tip saving you time with the initial application when apps actually drop, I think that being able to have the opportunity to articulate your work experience and other parts of your application the way you want them to be, and being able to make sure that everything is as perfect as you want them to be, will really help you in the long run, because I know that some people might do things very last minute. They might say, okay, apps are dropping, I'm just gonna fill this out, I'm gonna get this in as fast as I can, and they won't really think about word choice and how it looks or how it's divided and things like that. But if you're able to fill all this out in the app beforehand and make sure it's saved and it looks good and it sounds good and you're happy with it, you can just breeze on by through the application while other people are still sitting there typing in their stuff. Because if you worked through college like me, that's a lot of stuff to put in, and that's a huge pain in the butt. And if you do that beforehand, it will save you tons of stress, and it will definitely make sure that you have the right wording so that you're happy with your application. Number 3 applies to the web-based interview, or the WBI, and my tip would be to be honest, but to think logically about every question. I know in a lot of Disney vlogs, people are telling you to go for the extremes, go for strongly disagree, strongly agree, and just that all the way through. Because Disney is looking for people who are decisive, people who are confident in their decisions, and people who know themselves very well and know their conscience very well. But if you really sit on some of these questions, like the ones that I ran into during my web-based interview, if you do an extreme on them, it kind of puts you in a bad light. They might make you sound conceited or obsessive, and obviously that is not something that Disney wants you to be. Like, one of the questions I had on the WBI was, I do my job better than everybody else. Now, if you say strongly agree, you kind of sound conceited saying, yeah, I'm better than everyone else, I know better, I'm the best, and while you may be the best, and you may be the best worker, employee of the month, things like that, it kind of sounds bad when it's phrased, I do my job better than everybody else, if that makes any sense. I might be crazy, you can disregard this, but this is how I felt when I was reading it, and it didn't feel right to me to put strongly agree when it could make you seem that way, if that makes any sense. And I really do think that the use a lot of extremes rule does ring true in the WBI, but again, like I said, watch out for those questions that if you do have a strong answer to it, it will make you sound bad. I got such anxiety when I was doing the WBI because I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna run out of time on each question, I'm going to fail, it's gonna kick me out, blah 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 blah, thinking the whole world's gonna end and my application's gonna be awful, things like that, but it was fine. I took my time through it and actually thought on some things, and I never ran out of time on a question. It is totally fine. Just take a deep breath, focus, make sure you know what you're talking about with your questions, and go for it. And so now moving on to the phone interview section of my DCP application tips. Number 4, if you need extra time on a question or if you need clarification, just stay calm, it is okay. If you do need that extra time, say a stalling phrase like, that's a really good question, let me think about it. And let there be a pause. I know some people get really anxious about there being pauses in a conversation or awkward silences, but think of it as what they say in theater, a pregnant pause, where you take some time to think about what you're going to say or what you're going to do. It's okay. It's better to sit and wait and think about what you're going to say and make sure it's what you want to say than stumbling over trying to pull something out of your butt being like, yeah, this thing and stuff and this is how I am, please make me a CP, please, please, please. No, Just take your time. It will be okay. But if you needed clarification on a question or you needed it repeated again or something like that, ask politely. Don't immediately be like, what'd you say? Sorry, what? Again, take a deep breath. Talk slowly, don't freak out, because I'm sure they've had many people who probably didn't hear what they were saying, or they maybe didn't have their mouth close to the microphone on the phone. Lots of things could happen. It's not you, it's fine. Say something very professional like, I'm so sorry, I didn't get that. Can you please repeat that? Or, I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that. Can you say that again? Because I'm sure when Disney's looking for someone who stays calm under pressure, they don't want someone who, when they're talking to a guest, is like, what'd you say? What? Because someone might take that the wrong way. But if you do slip up, that is okay. Don't beat yourself up, because I made mistakes on my application process. Figure out strategies to buy yourself time if you are tossed a curveball, and kind of keep them handy so if you do freeze up like I did, and I'm sure many other people have frozen up, to be able to pull that off of your little sheet you have in front of you and make sure that you're able to make sure the rest of your phone interview goes smoothly. So number 5 is something that I not only applied to my Disney College Program phone interview, but I also applied to my work towards my journalism degree, which I graduated in May with. Think of the phone interview as a conversation, not as you being grilled over the phone by a Disney recruiter, because that is so intimidating. So whenever I conducted interviews with people for stories and articles and things like that, I made sure that they were comfortable. So instead of me being there with my notepad being like, question 1, blah 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 blah. Yeah. Question number 2. Because that's very impersonal, and that can be really intimidating, knowing that someone is hanging on your every word, writing out everything that you say, or recording it on your phone or on a recorder. That is terrifying. I was an active listener when I was conducting those interviews, so if they said something or mentioned something that could possibly lead to a follow-up question or another aspect of the story, I made sure to keep that in the back of my head while they were talking, and I was talking so I could make sure to ask it later. But if you don't have a very good memory like me, you can always try and write it down on your little notepad to make sure that you're able to ask it. And with the Disney College Program application, you want to show recruiters that you can listen to guests actively and be able to make sure their experience is personalized. So if you're talking to a guest and their family and they mention that it's their wedding anniversary, you don't want to just kind of pass that up. You want to ask a follow-up question, be like, oh my gosh, congratulations, how long have you been together? Or say, oh wow, that's great, let me get you a pin, or something like that. And make sure that you can recall that kind of information so you're not just giving every single guest a generic experience, because Disney wants you to go that extra mile. And also, like many people say, use their name. Don't use it all the time and be weird about it, like starting every single answer to your questions with their name, because that's weird and awkward. And again, adding to the conversational tone that you should apply to this, you should say it where it's appropriate, like, oh yes, Emily, of course I'll speak with you, of course I have enough time to talk to you, you know, that sort of thing. And unfortunately for my interview, I forgot to say thank you, Emily, or just mention her name at the end of the interview, but I really think that connecting with her on our majors and talking about journalism together, kind of as an aside from the actual interview, I think kind of helped save me from that, if that makes any sense. And I know some people who actually forgot to say their names too got in, so don't sweat it, but saying their name and remembering little things about them, I think will definitely help you get a step up above the rest when it comes to your phone interview. Now, I just want to wish every single one of you watching the absolute best of luck in your application process. I know it's tough, whether you're a first-time applicant or this is your 4th time trying. I wish every single one of you the absolute best of luck, because this is a tough process, and I know that if I got rejected, I would have been absolutely heartbroken, and props to those people who keep applying season after season. And I really, really hope that these tips will help those people who are struggling to get in to finally have their chance. Because I want nothing more than for all of y'all's Disney dreams to come true, and I genuinely mean that. Because yes, the Disney College Program is really competitive, and of the tens of thousands of people that apply, only a fraction of them get in, but we're all in this together, y'all, like in High School Musical. If you have any further questions for me, feel free to ask in the comments below, or ask on any of my social media. It will be posted in the description. And if you want to follow along on my Disney College Program Fall 2017 adventures, feel free to subscribe. And I hope all of y'all have the most faith, trust, and pixie dust on your application season, and I wish all of you the best of luck. Bye!